The year was 1877. It was dusk in an old town in South Texas. Nobody lived there, not for years. Avery Hogg was a giant of a man, standing 6 foot 8 inches tall, with a clean-shaven face and piggish eyes. He was a traveller, and he had just arrived in this town. He was not here for any reason that he could place. There was an old house on a hill that was known as Ancient even before the town was abandoned. It caught his eye. Avery began to walk up to this house. When he reached the front door of the house, there were birds on the windowsill. They chirped incessantly. They were a bother. Avery drew his revolver and shot one of the birds. Feathers sank through the air before being taken by the wind, and the other birds scattered. Some returned, but most fled into the vast sea of darkness slowly forming as the sun set. Avery stepped inside. The ancient house floorboards creaked, and dust fell from the ceiling. The air was an odd shade of yellow. Inside, a man sat in an age-old armchair. Avery knew who this man was, a man whose arm he had severed years ago. The man was only a child when it happened. To any reasonable person, Avery did it for no reason at all. But to Avery, the inability to defend himself was reason enough to justify it. They hated each other. His name was Roderick. He was a calm man. He had a dark beard and thin frame. Avery took a seat. "What brings you here?" asked Roderick. "No reason. The wind carried me here. But you, why did you drift to this town?" asked Avery. "I can't say I had one either." There was a pause. "I like those birds," Roderick said. "That doesn't matter much at all. It's in their nature to be a pest. On this earth there is nothing as inconsequential as a bird. Their purpose is to eat worms," Avery said. "But I still like them. What you like is beneath me." "Why is that?" "Because you're weak. Inferior. That's how it was and will be. If you weren't, you would still have that arm of yours. I was a child. That doesn't change things. Your circumstance doesn't change your failures. I can't imagine how you can believe something like that. And that is proof of your weakness. You're delusional. You are not better than me, or anyone else. Children play and birds chirp. Just because a thing is frivolous doesn't mean it lacks value. Oh, but it does lack value. I haven't seen evidence to suggest otherwise. If I wasn't superior, I would have been dead years ago. And what if you do die? Then I will be proven wrong. But I won't. They have had opportunities to kill me, but they have all failed. Once, years ago, a man had a gun to me. I was unarmed. You know what happened? His gun failed and I killed him with my bare hands. Being the victor, how can I not be above that man? It's just luck. Someday you'll be dead, just as much as him." "Do you know your age?" "I'm 30. 30. You are 38 years old, I have kept track. And me? Do you know how old I am? No? Me neither. I have met countless people and I remember every one of them. I have seen hundreds of wars and I know what caused each one, but I don't know what year I was born, and so don't believe I will ever die. You're a vain old man who looks young for your age, that's all you are. Vanity is a gift that I hold dearest to my heart. Not long ago I met a man. He was a beggar, dirty and thin, asked me for food. I asked him if he took pride in his situation. He told me no, so I shot him. It was mercy. If he couldn't take pride in his life, then how could he ever have the will to amount to anything in the future? If a man can maintain vanity, then he is surely succeeding in life." It was dark now, and the few birds that had remained were all gone. It was just Roderick and Avery now. "It's late now, I think we should finish things," said Roderick. "That's a shame. I had enjoyed speaking with you," said Avery. Roderick drew his revolver and pulled back the hammer. Avery did not. He remained seated, perfectly comfortable. "You don't seem very concerned," said Roderick. "I haven't any reason to be concerned. You'll not kill me, and I'll not die," said Avery. "Why is that?" "It doesn't concern me how I'll not die, but I won't. Whether your bullet misses me by an inch or you drop dead of a heart attack. I will not die. I have been in these situations before. When this house sinks beneath the earth and the seas swallow the land, when the last tree falls and the last deer's been shot, I'll still be here, me and my vanity. I will never die." A shot rang out. As Avery began slumping back in his armchair, a hole in his head began slowly leaking blood like hot candle wax. Roderick stood, holstering his revolver and sighing with relief. Roderick watched Avery for some time before leaving. Later in life, Roderick travelled to California to find work. He became a law enforcement officer. Because he was a lawman with one arm, he gained a great deal of notoriety. He lived a fulfilling life, but some time after that was killed in a California riot. In that old house where Avery Hogg lay shot, the sun began to rise and a gust of wind blew through the open door. The wind carried with it the feathers of the bird Avery had shot the day before. The feathers gathered in a pile near Avery's feet. The rising sun began to shine through a broken window, the cracked glass creating a prism for rainbow light to fill the room. The sun rose higher and the light shifted to a deep gold, filling the house. Deep rays of gold shone through the dusty air and illuminated Avery Hogg, showing the distinct lines of age on his pale face. Outside, birds began to chirp, and the morning dew shimmered in the warm abundance of sunlight, like a field of diamonds basking in the sun. And as the beauty of this ancient dead town reached its crescendo, Avery's chest began rhythmically rising and falling. Avery began to move. The dried blood on his forehead cracked as he furrowed his brow and slowly sat up in his chair. He lived. He felt a moment of pride. Then he realized he had still been shot and still lost to Roderick. His heart began to beat faster and a cold sweat coated his body. The idea of him being inferior to Roderick began to sink deep in his heart. He began to consider the words Roderick said to him about luck and value. He stood and stumbled and sighed as he inched out the door. The birds chirped more. As Avery stepped out the door, a cloud passed over the sun and the colour faded from the scene. Avery looked at the birds, chirping ever louder. He drew his revolver. Then he dropped it. He could not kill these things. They had value, however convoluted it may be. At the very least, Roderick saw value in them. He heard them speak, and it was not noise, but song. In this moment, Avery saw beauty in them, despite their flaws and tenuous bodies. The cloud passed, and the landscape regained its colour. Then Avery began to walk. He wasn't sure where he was going. In the end, he reached Hydetown, a little place in North Texas where he chose to settle. Hydetown was later abandoned in 1880, and Avery Hogg's name faded into obscurity. His death was never recorded.